So yes, I did it. I actually sat down and watched this movie. It took me 2 tries, but I finally did it. Some of you actually may not know about this, but there was a Fantastic Four movie made way back in 1994. And whereas the 2005 version had a budget of $100 million, the 1994 version had a budget of only $1 million. And I gotta say, you know, for a movie with $1 million budget, this was actually pretty entertaining. I'd probably go as far as saying that this is a movie that's so bad that it's good. By the way, I'm gonna refer to all the actors in this movie by their character names so you know who I'm talking about. So the movie begins with a flashback from like 10 years ago. Pretty much sets up the relationships between all the characters and foreshadows the romantic relationship between Sue and Reed. But it feels a little weird because she's like 14 at the time.
He's dreamy. You're gross.
And then it goes forward 10 years. So Reed and Sue meet up again and the movie tries to establish this romantic connection. But it's kind of hard when he just stands there and just basically stares at her. But yes, it's still better than Twilight. But anyways, the whole reason he went back there is to get them to be the crew for his spaceship. Yep, if I wanted to go to space, the first thing I'd probably do is get a bunch of teenagers that are barely out of high school that I haven't seen or heard from for the past 10 years. Hey, you guys wanted to go to space when you were kids, right? Let's do it for real this time. I guess in the future, nobody needs any qualifications to go into outer space. So I guess this is what they thought computers would look like in the next 10 years. Just a giant fluorescent glowing, colorful screen. The weird part is they kind of got the colorful part right. There's just some weird things in here. Like, why is Dr. Doom stroking the screen here? Why are these guys so close to each other? And why is this guy just staring at the other guy? So then Ben bumps into this blind woman who drops and breaks her sculpture, and he blames her? Just add in some unwanted touching, and somehow we have 2 people that fall in love. Still better. Then you got this character called the Jeweler who's supposed to be a jewel thief, but he looks more like a homeless leprechaun. I don't know about you, but if I was a master jewel thief, I think I could afford to clean myself up a bit. So this is the point where they all find out that they have powers. And I do have to say that I think the makeup they did on the Thing is actually pretty good. So they plan to escape by basically just beating up some of the doctors. But instead of having even just a very basic fight scene, they opted to go with this. I have to say that Dr. Doom has always been one of my favorite comic book villains. I always thought his voice was pretty awesome in the cartoons.
And your pathetic attempts to play mind games with me amount to exactly less than nothing.
I just never felt like they got his voice right in the movies. And this version is definitely no exception. There's this thing, it's called ADR, otherwise known as dubbing, and it works pretty well when you're working on replacing dialogue for a character that's wearing a mask. Sound editing is such an important part of making a movie, and even though this was a low-budget film, this is just basic stuff. Because without it, you might not be able to hear some of the dialogue, or have trouble understanding what some of the characters are saying, just like this.
Beautiful, charming little country. Thy supreme and beloved monarch.
Seriously, I went over some of these scenes multiple times. I have no idea what he's trying to say. So I took the best I could come up with and put it into subtitles for you.
What? Empress, honestly, Jonathan. Take my advice. Keep your cool.
And for some reason, he keeps moving his hands in all these weird positions. So they try and escape, but what's the plan here? Try and melt a hole through the concrete wall? And of course, the Thing just breaks right through it, which is probably what they should have done in the first place. But Dr. Doom's reaction here is nothing but priceless.
So, my friend.
Then there's this part where they're inside Dr. Doom's castle and they're trapped in these force fields. And it's hilarious because all the other actors are trying to make it look like they're being restrained by an invisible force field. But Reed just doesn't seem to give a shit at all. Like seriously, they start having their powers taken away from them and all the other actors are acting like they're in pain. Reed hardly moves a muscle. So Doom has this laser that's gonna destroy New York City for some reason. Human Torch decides to somehow fight the laser beam and somehow manages to push it into space. And then there's just an explosion. No real explanation of what exactly happened. It was just an explosion. I mean, did it destroy the laser gun? Did the explosion destroy the castle? Weren't the rest of them inside the castle? And whereabouts was this castle anyways? The fucking moon? Like, look at how high the angle of that beam is. But seriously, I would actually recommend watching this movie. It's actually pretty entertaining. Actually, the best copy of it I found is actually right here on YouTube, so I'll put the link in the description below. I don't know, that's pretty much it. I know I usually end these things with a joke, but I'm exhausted. Oh yeah, and by the way, I'm going to try to start doing new movie reviews as well, in addition. So if you like that idea, then like this video. Even if you don't, like this video anyways. I'm working really hard here, guys. Can't you see that? Sweating my balls off.